Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. It's Friday the 11th of September. We are sponsored by Arnold Clark Monday to Friday on Facebook and YouTube. We're delighted to have your company. You can like, share and follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe. It's absolutely free on YouTube. We've got lots to talk about. The Premiership fixtures over the weekend in Scotland and the start of the English Premier League in England. Also to digest in the company of Alan Ruff, Tam McManus and Charlie Adam. And I can tell you at this moment, we're still not certain whether St Mirren against Hibernian is going to get the go-ahead, obviously with the COVID restrictions and the couple of players who've obviously fallen foul of it at St Mirren. We're waiting to see if, because of their obvious contracting of COVID, that it has affected any other players. So that's why, Tam, quite a lot of people are in limbo.
Yeah, they are at the minute, Peter. We don't know if the game's going to go ahead. Obviously there's a couple of St Mirren players have tested positive, so I think we're waiting. It should be within the next hour, according to a couple of people I just spoke to there. I think Neil Doncaster and the SFA are going to make an announcement on the game within the next hour, so hopefully you'll get that news and you'll be able to break it to the people tuning in. But fingers crossed it goes ahead, Peter, because if we start cancelling games, if one or two players are getting this virus, we're never going to get the season finished, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the big worry on this one. And of course, with the restrictions getting tighter again, the last thing that anybody wants to see is a second lockdown. That's a big fear for everyone, not just in football circles. A big hi to Andrew Davidson. Hi to Lynn as well. Stephen Martin, George Laurie, Scott Graham as well. And one there from Alan McLean. Good afternoon, guys, from the sunny New Forest. Up the buddies, says Alan. And hi from sunny Kirkcaldy is Gary McGurn, John Donald and Errol Campbell and Tony Hart as well. Great to have you guys on board. We'll read out some of the names on YouTube too. Big blow for Rangers ahead of their game against Dundee United. There's good and bad news. The bad news is, quite simply, Charlie Adam, Joe Aribo, who looked as if he was going to be a star this season, he's out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's become a blow for Rangers. He was the one that came out the pack in the pre-season. Speaking to Steven at the start of the season, and he was excited to see what he could produce this year. Had that year under his belt, and different type of player that they've got. It's a blow, but they'll have to adapt to that. And somebody like a Hadji needs to go and step up to the mark again, and hopefully he can do that. But it's obviously it is a blow because they thought big things from him this year.
Yeah, and this is what the manager had to say about it.
In terms of Joe, yes, it's a big blow. Joe, during pre-season and the start of the season, was in magnificent form. He's a player we rate very highly here, so I'm sure he'll be missed over the next 4 weeks. It's actually good news for us because when he's had the setback in the training, there was a situation where he had to go and see a specialist on this ankle problem, and there was a chance he might have needed surgery. Thankfully, he doesn't need surgery, and we might be able to get him back in 4 weeks' time. So it's actually a positive situation because it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, the last thing I think Steven Gerrard wants is a mounting injury list. The good news is Jermaine Defoe and Cedric Itten all back, so that's good news. And I think Barisic, when he comes back in to the fray, that will also be a bonus. The good news, of course, as far as awards are concerned, Roughie, is you've got the manager picking up the Manager of the Month award, and you've got the player Ryan Kent also picking up the Player of the Month award.
Yeah, quite rightly as well. I think Rangers have been very impressive at the start. Obviously, shutouts all over the place. It's always positive. Ryan Kent has started beginning to show, the 7 million tag that he had. He is an exciting player to watch, and I'm sure Rangers are obviously hoping a lot more things for him. They want him to be a big time player. They want him to win games as well as assist the goals as well. So no, I don't think Rangers have done anything wrong for the start of the season, and they're the team everybody's got to catch.
Yeah, and the manager,
I think one thing about
praise on. Yeah,
sorry,
Charlie?
Peter. The one thing about coming out about Kent is come out today saying, "Do you know what? I want to be a Rangers player." It would have been easy to go and get enticed by the big money to Leeds and things like that, but he believes he's happy there, and he's trying to show his best foot. Won the award today with has probably cemented him by wanting to stay at Rangers and trying to show the fans and the people what he's got.
Yeah, the manager's well happy with him. This is what he had to say about the Player of the Month, Ryan Kent.
I think Ryan Kent certainly deserves to be Player of the Month. I think he's in sensational form. He's looking really sharp at the moment. He looks really happy and settled here. He's had a full pre-season under his belt, and I think his red card against Leon aside, I think he's been fantastic to watch and work with. So I'm very pleased for Ryan. I think that's totally deserved. In terms of my award, I think it's an award that is a collective reward for the staff, for the support that I've had during the lockdown, during pre-season, up to now in the season. And we also have to recognise the job the players have done, because them awards don't come unless your players are playing consistent collectively and contributing results. So I certainly receive my award as a collective.
Yeah, good call there. 5 wins, 1 draw. No argument with Steven Gerrard as manager of the month as well. Although I always got worried, Tam, when he said there, he's happy, he's settled here. Time we get to Tuesday, well, would you believe it? 20 million Kent off the Leeds.
Yeah, listen, everybody's got their price, Peter. Everybody's got their price, and listen, if Ryan Kent keeps playing the way he's playing, there'll be bigger clubs than Leeds United coming in for him. He's playing really, really well at the minute. The only thing I think Ryan Kent's the foot he's put wrong this season is getting that wee ponytail in the pre-season, which was an absolute shocker. Thankfully, he shaved that off, and now he's back down to business and doing really well for Rangers. So, no, I think he's going to be a key player, and Charlie was right. Rangers have got to keep a hold of their best players if they've got any chance of stopping Celtic winning the league this season, and he's certainly their best player.
Yeah, don't mind the ponytail, Roughie, to be honest with you. James McFadden used to have one in his early career as well, but if you've got that wee bit of a gala streak, you can do it. You can wear anything, can't you?
It was only Phil's glasses, Rodney.
It's the Gareth Bale one gets me. I've always seen it obviously tied up. I'd like to see it when it's not tied up. You never see any photographs of him, just letting it loose. So it'd be interesting to see, because I always think he looks like the wee guy out of Planet of the Apes at the best of time.
There was one the other day in the Wales squad when he had it out, and it was long Gareth Bale's.
Yeah,
it
was. Yeah. When it all comes down, he's like Simba out of the Lion King, to be honest with you. But if you've got that hair and you can get away with it, to be honest with you, if I was on £600,000 a week, I'd have long hair, ponytails a lot, just to annoy you, Tam. JC says, hi guys from Tasmania in Australia. Loves the banter. JC, great that you're with us. I mean, absolutely fantastic. The people out near and far, I always try to give people a mention a little bit further afield. John Barkey says, guys, this is only the beginning. It was only a matter of time before coronavirus was going to hit Scottish football, even with strict social distancing. Yes, John, I think everybody's been well aware of that. It's that big second wave we're all scared of, to be honest with you. That's the thing that really is worrying us. But nevertheless, Rangers against Dundee United, game of the weekend without a shadow of doubt, Roughie. This one is an absolute belter, because if you listen, again, we're talking there about the attitude of Mickey Mellon when he was talking about losing narrowly to Celtic. This is what he had to say about getting ready to go to Ibrox.
Meeting all the challenges that the game flings at us, and making sure that we meet them positively and try and take them on and come out them with every moment with a positive result. So we'll approach it like that, but not with any kind of day out mentality or anything like that.
Yeah, we're not there to make up the numbers, is what Mickey Mellon has been consistently saying. He's obviously, with that in mind, I presume with Lawrence Shankland back, Roughie, he might fancy a wee go at Rangers.
Yeah, I think they have to be organised, they have to be disciplined. We saw what happened at Kilmarnock, when they tried to chase the game, they lost some bad goals. I think Rangers are just playing tremendously well just now. I think they'll get 4 or 5 players at the top of their game. It's at Ibrox. I would think it's going to be one-way traffic, and there might be some chances it might fall on Shankland's way, but I think Rangers will be too strong, and I think they'll run out easy winners in this one.
Tam, I'm all for Mickey Mellon's attitude to games. Get that door, Roughie, will you? I'm all for Mickey Mellon's attitude, which is quite simply, go there, try and play football, entertain. Sometimes it's going to go for you, sometimes it's not.
Yeah, listen, when you go to Celtic and Rangers in a club like Dundee United, you go and have a go. We've seen a few games earlier in the season where clubs have went there and just sat in, and eventually Rangers and Celtic will break you down. Dundee United have got some good attacking players. You've got Lawrence Shankland there, give them service. Go and have a go. Dundee United will be judged on results against Celtic and Rangers. They'll be judged on, results against, your St Mirren's and your, different teams. So I would go and have a go if I was Mickey Mellon and try and get at Rangers, because I think if you sit in Ibrox, they'll break you down and win 2 or 3-0 anyway. So you're as well having a go.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you've ever. I was just about to say to you, I don't know if you've ever. If you've ever watched Naked Gun. At Naked Gun, Leslie Nielsen eventually has the microphone still on, and he goes to the toilet, and basically he goes for a number one, and you can hear it all. And I don't know about you, Roughie, but somebody's gone to the toilet either in your room or in Charlie's room.
Certainly not my room, I think so.
Somebody coming in the kitchen in my house.
Brilliant. It's only a matter of time before we get them on. Get the kids in, get the wife in there as well. That's the joy of it all. Of course, Tam, it's good that you're here, because obviously it's good to keep kind of a working class element to the show, because Roughie has been at Royal Troon today and Charlie's been at Royal Lytham playing a bit of golf. So
yeah, you can't hide money.
You and I have been cut out of the equation completely here.
I think Ruffy's went.
Tam.
As Roughie went for a massage after it. Where's he now? He looks as if he's in a massage parlour.
Yeah, that's the other thing about it, Roughie. Because you've had that many different backgrounds, people think you live in a 32-room house. There's that many different backgrounds, as Tam mentioned.
No, I have to be perfectly honest. As you know, I've come away for the weekend. It's my wedding anniversary tomorrow. So we decided to go away for the weekend with some friends.
How many years is that, Roughie?
That's it. I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that. To tell you the truth. Can I take a stab? Can I take a stab at 11?
Is it 11?
I think it would be.
You can't go.
We've been together. I've been together for 25 years.
Yeah.
Can you believe he's gone away for a weekend for an anniversary and he's playing 2 games of golf?
She was playing.
Unbelievable.
Oh, was she playing as well? Oh, that's
yeah. The great thing about Maggie is she's decided to take it up late in life, so I know for a fact she's hacked her way around Royal Troon. So there'll be a groundsman just putting divots in everywhere.
She did exactly. She hacked her way all the way around, came to the 16th, believe it or not, got a birdie, and that made her day. So I don't know how it happened, but she saved the day. And she'll get a reward later.
Rangers Dundee United, Roughie. Give me a prediction.
3-0 Rangers.
3-0 to Rangers. Charlie?
I don't like Tam's thing of going and being gung-ho because it could be end up 5 or 6. I'm going to go and I'll go 2-0.
Tam?
I think Dundee United will score, but I think they'll lose the game 3-1.
Right, okay. I think I've gone for 2-1 in that one, just so, because I know we're in the head-to-head trying to catch you, Tam, so we'll keep it all above board. Over and above that, Ross County against Celtic will have 300 fans. Obviously, there are fans who won't be at the game that will be able to actually link into Ross County television. And I'll tell you, Tam, they better have a big generator because the flux capacitor is going to be overrun by Celtic fans trying to get on that Ross County website.
That is going to be crazy. I mean, Ross County, if they do it properly, could make a lot of money. The pay-per-view, obviously, with thousands and thousands of Celtic fans want to watch that game. So I hope Ross County have got plenty of people working on their TV and
how many people? How many people will watch this stream? Because Celtic obviously is going to be massive. How many are we actually thinking they're going to be able to watch it worldwide, by the way? Not just in Scotland.
Well, I mean, there's a good point, Charlie, because you could, if you look at some of the people who get up in New York, you know, in the early hours of the morning to watch certain Champions League matches with Celtic, this will be 3 o'clock. There's a 5 hour time difference as well. So they'll all be getting up early, you know, at 7 and 8 o'clock to pitch in to make sure they're in somewhere to watch it, or indeed from their own house. So could you get 250,000 more than that? I don't know. I mean, can you access it? And get all the necessary information in there in time to get the stream and get your transaction, your money paid. Who knows? We'll get the exact figures, no doubt, over the weekend, but I know that they'll be in for a hefty hit. Let's hope they can survive the hit, because it won't be the first time when Rangers and Celtic fans get into something they can crash the system. It's as simple as that. The one thing that's a bugbear of this, it might only be 300 fans, but Neil Lennon has mentioned he watched the NFL with 16,000 fans in there, and he's not happy that there seems to be one rule for certain aspects of sport and one for another.
We're disappointed that we haven't had the opportunity to get fans into our stadium, because we've been, you know, at the forefront of everything positive regarding this pandemic in terms of getting the game going again. You know, certainly from our point of view and our stadium, I think it's as good as you can get. You know, I watched the NFL game last night, the opening game of the season, Kansas City Chiefs. There was 18,000 in their stadium. You know, so I don't understand to a certain degree why, you know, we can't sort of accelerate this when all the protocols and measures have been, you know, checked again by the club.
Yeah, so the only thing I would say, I mean, he's trying to fight the corner there, Tam. The one thing that's happening at the moment is, and you can understand in any business, there's the grind, which is to try and get fans in and get the money in through the turnstiles. And then there's the reality of the medical advice and what's happening in the country. And although they keep pushing, you know, safety comes first.
Yeah, it does come first. I actually watched the NFL as well last night, and it was great to see supporters in a sporting event. But I think it's a totally different government, obviously, over there in America than it is here. I think we've been much more careful than certainly in America. They are letting people into a lot of events now. I seen the PSG Lons game the other night. There was, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 people in there as well, and it just adds to the game. And Celtic, you know, Neil Lennon will be desperate to get supporters back in, not just financially, but you know, supporters at Celtic Rangers drive you to win games. I just think that's a big leveler when you're playing essentially a bounce game against Celtic Rangers with nobody there. I mean, you go to Ibrox, 50,000, go to Parkhead, 60,000. Very intimidating places to go and play, and even the away support. You know, Celtic up to Ross County. Sometimes they can suck the ball into the net if you're losing or you're drawing the game. Last 5-10 minutes, you know, the supporters can drag you over the line. So I think he'll be desperate to get supporters back in, as will Steven Gerrard at Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, Charlie. I mean, I looked on with amazement at Doncaster. 4 days they were hoping to get something like 6,000 fans in to watch, you know, St Ledger, and after day one, with about 2,500 fans in, the shutters were quickly pulled down, and it just wasn't happening.
No, I know, but I'm in Neil Lennon's camp. I think it's let's go, and you know, Celtic and Rangers you got big enough stadiums to try and get these people into the stadium, and I think we should move forward and get people into the stadiums. It makes a difference to the games, the atmosphere, and you know, it's the country. Listen, she's done a good job, Nicola Sturgeon, but at times I think we are being too careful. I think it's time that we allow, you know, I don't know, 10,000 into Ibrox and maybe 10 or 12,000 into Celtic Park, or 30% of whatever the capacity is, and try and move it forward. We've got to take that point at some point and move forward. And you know, I think Neil Lennon's right, and I think we have to move forward quickly, because football is nothing without the supporters.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair opinion from Charlie. I'm not sure I agree with him, Roughie. My take on this right now is quite simply, I'm watching that graph and I'm watching the cases are on the rise. I'm watching the government quickly start to turn the screw again and tighten the regulations. And I'm also looking at the freeze at the moment on certain vaccines that they're trying to get through. And I think, the whole thing is taking us back towards where we don't want to go, which is those cases in May, when you remember, Roughie, we were all in lockdown, and it was just a nightmare.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate for football that the spikes have came in like Dumbartonshire and Renfrewshire and Glasgow City. And it is an incredible, I don't know if gamble's the right word, but I mean, if we were to allow 20,000 in and there was another spike, a massive spike that could possibly hinder the rest of the season, it's a massive decision to take, and I'm sure Celtic will have done everything, they've done all the tests and they've organised how fans get in. But we saw, obviously, with the St Mirren boys, what happens if something else happens at that game to a magnitude that we can't control? Everybody would be down in the government like a ton of bricks, and the football would suffer as well. So, no, I appreciate what Charlie and the guys are saying. We need fans in. We really desperately need them in. But let's let them in when it's a lot better and it's a lot safer, because there's a long season to go, and if it was to get hit in the head right now, it'd be absolutely tragic for a lot of clubs.
And off the back of the medical argument, Robert Reid said, look at the mortality rate. It is not rising. There's pros and cons. If I'm looking at Charlie's point, the financial implications are going to be really, really stark for a number of clubs, and that's why there's a real push on it. You can give us your point of view on it. What do you think about it? It's not an easy answer on this one. It's not a quick fix. This is a long, slow process, and we're just dreading the second wave. So Neil Lennon mentioned that. And of course, as far as the football is concerned, the Celtic manager knows he's going to get it tough against Ross County. Not a bad start to the season.
As a team, they play good football and can be a threat at the set plays. So we're wary of their threat, and in Stewart, they've got a very good player at this level, and he can be a handful for anyone at any time. They've got Gardyne, who's been a good player for a long, long time. So we know we're going to get tested. But, our mindset now is we've had a very, very good couple of days training where the squad is buoyant, and we're very much looking forward to the game.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Tam, but I think Neil's caught himself a cold because he's got the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
He's like Alex Ferguson, isn't he?
Well, it's just
is that wine nose?
Well, no, it's not a wine nose. It just looks as if a wasp has bitten his nose, but nevertheless, it's definitely the makings of a cold there. Let's hope he's not going to get any COVID or anything like that. But that'll be a good game. Give us your prediction on it. I've gone for Celtic to win 2-0, Tam.
I'm going to go for Celtic to win 3-0. I just think they've got players back now. They've got a lot of competition for places. I think Ajeti, guys like that, should be up to speed now. They should be ready to go. And, they've brought Shane Duffy in. I would assume they would go 3-5-2 now and push their two full attacking wing backs on. So I think everything's looking good for Celtic just now, and I think they'll go up there and win comfortably 3-0.
Yeah, Niall Kane agrees with you, Tam. He says 3-0. Charlie, what do you make of it?
I think Celtic will win. I think they've got too much quality for Ross County, and I'll go 2-1.
Yeah, okay. And Brian McNair thinks he's got the answer. What's wrong with Neil Lennon? He's been duking for chips. I mean, there's always a good line in it. I mean, you need a bit of banter in this one. Roughie, what are you going for?
Yeah, I agree with Neil Lennon. I think it'll be tight early on, but eventually Celtic will wear them down. And I would agree with you. I'm going to go 2-0 just to haul McManus back into the fray. With gathering points here.
Yeah. Don't worry about any of that.
Ganging up against me. Shocking.
Exactly. I mean, it's a long, drawn-out affair. And remember, Tam, the other good thing about it is last season's loser disappeared without a trace and hasn't taken anybody out for the meal. So, I mean, you could get that late transfer, and suddenly, after a bit of badge kissing, you'll be off. It happens.
I'll be looking for it if I need to pay for the meal.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the point I was about to make, guys, is we've all given our prediction on the Old Firm. This one that you were talking about, Tam, which was St Mirren against Hibs. It's a real dilemma, this one, and this is probably why it's dragged on. And we're now at 4:25, and we're still waiting on a decision on this one. So clearly there's a major dilemma. It could be the situation where, have they been able to test everybody else? Is there a 100% Loctite security if the game's going to go ahead?
Yeah, I believe they were looking to get into contact with the people that have been, the two guys that had tested positive were in contact with, the track and trace. So I think that's been maybe taking a wee bit of time today to find out if it's going to be viable for the game to go ahead. Listen, I hope it goes ahead. I want to see the games getting played, but I've also got respect for people's health. And, if there's not just them, if there's into contact with other people, various people in the squad and different things, then it's maybe not safe for Hibs to go and play against them. Hopefully we get good news, positive news that the game goes ahead. I'll be looking forward to the game tomorrow after the international break.
Well, the big dilemma, Charlie, on this is you can try as much as you possibly can to keep the players and the staff and everybody in this bubble, but it's not Loctite. There will be those little breaks, those little cracks where suddenly someone is susceptible to it, because you can't control every member of your family, even although Nicola Sturgeon has mentioned that it's only 6 people in contact now, only from 2 households as well.
Yeah, but you still cannot you can't keep that contact, because that can spread further and further, the contact that you have. So the players are susceptible to it. I just think it's, if you look at the 2 lads at Hamilton and obviously Jack Hannock at St Mirren, living together, and they've obviously had to get away with it as well. So I just don't think you can control it unless you've got somebody that's balling goalie, or the Aberdeen lads. I don't think you can control that. The lads are they're at a risk because of who they can come in contact with. But we just hope that the lads don't suffer any bad signs or any illness to it, and it's just a precaution really, that they obviously have to stay away for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, okay, give us your predictions on it. Tam, you were a man who's, obviously I was worried about you. I thought you'd maybe be waving that Hibs flag consistently because you're doing a bit of work for them. But to your credit, I'm going to pay you a compliment. To your credit, you thought Aberdeen would see them off. So what's the score going to be in this one if it gets to go ahead, Tam?
Yeah, I think Hibs left a wee bit too much quality for St Mirren. I'm going to go 2-1. And hopefully Jamie Murphy starts the game, because I'm really excited to see him in a Hibs jersey. So hopefully he's involved if the game goes ahead.
I like Jamie Murphy, Charlie. It would be great if he could go injury-free and let everybody see how good a player he is.
Yeah, and he started well at Rangers, and then obviously had that cruciate ligament injury. So I hope he can go and get a free run at it at Hibs. It's a great signing for Hibs, and I hope he will. I'd fancy Hibs to win 2-0.
Yeah, Stuart Ramsey says 2-1 St Mirren. It's all about opinions. 1-0 to the Saints, says Martin McNally. Roughie, where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with St Mirren. I think they've been reasonably good this year at home. I think they're always difficult. If they can manage to get the second goal to take a bit of pressure off them, I don't think they'll do that. I think I'm still not happy about the Hibs midfield. I know McMahon's out and he's not playing Scott Allen, so he's going for a bit of dig in the midfield. So I think he'll know it's going to be a battle, and I'm going to go for 1 each.
Yeah, okay. Callum Reynolds says players still need to go to the shops. They have partners in other fields, and they also have kids at school. You can catch it anywhere.
Schools,
Callum,
yeah.
You're absolutely right.
The schools is a big one, Peter, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it started this week.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the school my daughter goes to, you get the 1 or 2 isolated kids who unfortunately pick it up, and then you never know where that goes from meeting their family members. It's very difficult, and you've got tremendous sympathy. But, we want to try and get the economy going. We want to try and get kids back to school. You want to see if we can come out of what is effectively a huge recession, not the likes that we've seen in many a decade. And I think everybody, including the Scottish Government and over and above that, the UK Government, want to see the economy pick up. We all want to see that. We certainly don't want to get into a second lockdown. So it's a good point with Callum. And thank you very much for making it, Callum. Great to have you on board. The Scottish FA have banned parents from watching their kids playing football. I can understand this. They don't want them to attend the grassroots games for the risk of spreading this. The risk is too great to have spectators turning up for this. So we wanted the grassroots football back, Roughie, but you can't have hundreds of parents screaming and shouting.
Yep, I'm sure there's certain kids out. Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm sure there's certain kids out there will be happy their dad's not screaming at them for the side. We've heard about a lot of bad stories about putting pressure on kids. You should just let them go and play, and it might be better for them. That that added pressure's not at these games. It might just relax a wee bit more, because we have heard a lot of horrendous stories. Not from every dad, obviously. Most dads are very supportive, but there are some go over the top.
Could this have happened 20 years ago when my old man was here?
I was going to say that. It's just I was going to ask you. I was going to say, Charlie, what was your dad like with the sidelines? What was he like?
Horrendous. Oh my! Like he would say it how it was, and that's the big thing. Kids and parents would. It's mental. I've seen my dad having to roll around with other parents and all that because getting involved in saying he shouldn't be talking to his own kid like that. But I grew up like that, and that's how I was. That was how I was brought to the table. Do you know what I mean? And that's how I handled it. And if it wasn't for my old man, I wouldn't have been in this situation. So it works for some and it works for others. But like you say, it's like a babysitting service now for these coaches. The parents have to disappear in that. So what happens if something happens with the kids? We've not got enough coaches that look after all the kids. So the parents have to be there at some point. We just need to make a social distancing, we just can't be stupid with it. I just don't think you can then ban the parents from coming to training. I think we just got to be social distancing from it.
Tam, give us your expertise on this.
No, listen, my dad was the same. My dad was very critical of me when I was growing up and playing. But as Charlie said, you need that. You need somebody. You can't have your dad telling you were brilliant every game and you played crap. So I think you've got to have a certain degree of honesty when it comes to football. But I do agree that some of the young kids will benefit from. I got and watched. I stay beside the Ballarat football pitches up in East Kilbride, and I got and watched an occasional game. And some of the shouts from the sideline are ridiculous. And
it's unbelievable, isn't it? Some of them.
It's scary, and some of them are playing through their kids. Because maybe they failed at their own career. They're wanting their kids to. They're trying too hard with their kids, and you can see the young boys and even girls as well who are. Just looking at their dad and they're embarrassed that their mum and dad shouting that stuff. So I think it'll benefit them and let them go out and play. And as Roughie said, it's not of every parent. Most parents are pretty decent, but some of the shouts, under 12, under 10 level at boys' clubs is shocking, to be honest.
Yeah. And if I can offer you just one word of advice. Go on, Roughie, you might as well. You're on a run.
I was just going to say. I was just going to say. I think all our dads were the same. They were supportive of him. I mean, I could hear my dad at Firhill. There was only 3,000 or 4,000 there, and I could hear him in the stand for the goal. He was so vocal. It wasn't real. And I've already told you the story of when we were playing Scotland versus Holland at Hampden. He couldn't find his complimentary tickets. And Jock Steen's doing the team talk in the dressing room, and he come wandering into the dressing room 15 minutes before the game to see where his tickets were. No bounds at all. He would just barge in, and Jock Steen said, "Could we help you, sir?" And he said, "Oh, my son's can't find my tickets." He had me away looking for my tickets. With 15 minutes to go in an international game. That's what dads are like.
Yeah, can you imagine that happening, Charlie, with Walter Smith?
No, but I dreaded the half-time walk. I used to, because I always knew my dad was in the crowd, because he'd shout like, I remember one of the first games, my dad obviously, through my whole career, I've had it, it's understandable. And my missus would come to the first game, and obviously it was with my dad, and he's shouting like a lunatic, swearing and shouting for the stand and all that. And she said to me after the game, "What is he all about?" And I went, "That's him." And you could see other parents of the players in the team looking like, "Who's this idiot?" But he was just so passionate, and he just wanted the best for me. And the big thing is, it didn't matter if I was playing for Scotland, Liverpool, Blackpool, whatever. I could look up at half-time and I could see it on his face, and he'd be raging, or I'd get a thumbs up and I'd be all right. But then after the game, he'd still pick something out in the game. So yeah, listen, it was what it was, and I appreciate it. I also appreciated the help and the support, because it has made me the player I was and the person I am now.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, a couple of things. I think it was an elementary mistake on your part, Tam, when you mentioned there. And remember, you're one of these guys who basically what Charlie and Roughie and myself would call a coward, where you throw a line out to annoy everybody on Twitter and then you run away because you're scared about your opinion. And now you've made an elementary and stupid mistake in my part by saying, yeah, I live next to the pitches at the Ballarat Hall. I mean, the last thing you want to do is let people know where you are, Tam. You've got to try and keep a certain amount of anonymity on this, to be honest with you. And also, I kid you not, guys, while we are all bantering away here, I got a message from Roughie's wife saying, does Alan want a drink? So clearly, Maggie is watching the programme somewhere else. She wants to know because it's the anniversary. She wants to know if you want a drink, Roughie, because you've been coughing a wee bit.
It'll be a gin a day.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I would. With that, Peter knows the mob I go about. They'll be out in that garden already. They'll be firing into it as we speak. The sun's scorching here. So I dread to think what they're like at 5 o'clock. But you're right. You know what like they are. I'm surprised, as you know, Kingy and Ronnie having to come in, because they're just frustrated people. They just want to be on the telly all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm surprised as well. But it is only 20-5, Roughie, and that probably means your two best mates, as I know them, are lying somewhere on the grass, absolutely steaming as we speak, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, it's good. And also, Gary McGurn says, Charlie's dad was a good player. So he knew how to help Charlie. I think when you listen to what Charlie says, you can tell that he's glowing in his appreciation of what his dad offered him. Certain dads do it a different way. Anyway, apart from that, Davy Russell says Roughie will be having a gin and a blue pill. Davy, you know him so well. David, it's almost as if you're his long-lost son. I can't believe that line. You're right.
Maggie's giving him it tonight.
Yeah,
the pill that is.
Thank God for that, by the way. I thought we were going off here. Anyway, apart from anything else, Aberdeen against Kilmarnock. Aberdeen sitting 3 wins, 1 defeat after the 4 games that they've played. They just started to get themselves back into some kind of form after that start with the Aberdeen 8, as we were calling them at the start of the season. But they're against Killie. And again, everybody seems to be dominated by the thought of when are they going to get fans in. And the last thing, as Derek McInnes has mentioned, is the last thing he wants to see is everybody having to get used to a long period of time with no fans.
We don't want it to be the normal, no supporters in. So, and you don't want that to be too long a period, because you actually kind of get used to it, and it is kind of sanitised, and with no supporters there. I think the emotion of football is very important. Whether it's refereeing decisions, players making decisions because of crowd pressure and the excitement and adrenaline that a crowd can only give.
Yeah, listen, that's the one thing I think we do miss, because it becomes abundantly clear, Charlie, when you have no fans now, and I'm sitting in a press box, games can go one way or the other. Players can react to the huge support, whether they're behind you or they're berating you for your forum. It does have I don't think anybody will ever be able to say that supporters do not have a major impact on the way a game can go.
No, definitely, especially when you're going to, like Tam was talking about Ross County Celtic at the weekend. Celtic might be losing, 1-0, 10 minutes to go, behind that goal, and the Celtic fans, the 2,000-3,000 of them up there singing away, and it's it just gets you another level of performance. Just drags you sometimes. Being away international for 10 days, some lads not played, some lads have played, maybe a little bit tired, and these supporters just drag you to that level where you go and get the next goal and go on to win the game. So no, it is a massive, especially like a club like Aberdeen, who it's a tough place to go, and when they've got a home support, and even though you've got a big away following as well, so it really does help you, and I hope that we can get these supporters back into the grounds.
Yeah, Aberdeen against Killie, and Killie, Roughie, off the back of that impressive 4-0 win against Dundee United. So where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I think that killer result took everybody by surprise. But I agree. I think Aberdeen have got their act together. I think the young boy Wright is beginning to show a bit of promise. You know, he was out for a wee while with an injury, but he's came back. He scored a couple of nice goals. So I'm going to stick with Aberdeen. I'm going to go Aberdeen to win 2-0.
Okay, I'm going 1-0, Charlie.
Yeah, I think Aberdeen will win 2-0 as well.
Sam?
2-1 to the Dandy Dons.
Right, so Aberdeen against Kilmarnock, 300 fans in there. And of course, as you're well aware, guys, no singing, no clapping, no standing up, all of that social distancing and safe distance. Even if you wanted to go to the toilet or you want to go up and down the stairs, we've got to make sure there's a safe distance between you. And of course, it is Pittodrie as well, so you can't buy sweeties that have really sweetie wrappers that are really noisy. So that'll be a blow as well, Tam, for quite a lot of the Dons fans up there when they're watching that game.
Another dig at them.
I know, there you go. I've got to have a noise up. Oh, absolutely. Got to have a noise up with them. Anyway, apart from anything else, Aberdeen 3-0, says Alison Carroll. Alison, good to hear from you. Everybody has their own opinion on how they think a game's going to go. Motherwell against St Johnstone. I still can't believe Motherwell are bottom of the table. Liam Donnelly is now out. It looks as if he's out for the rest of the season. I mean, that is a huge blow, Tam.
Yeah, as he was a key player for them last season. Really, really good. Scored a lot of goals for them from the middle of the park, and excellent player. And I think he done it. The first game of the season was against. I think he had a shocking penalty that game as well, and he done his knee. I think it was his knee done. So listen, it's a big blow for Motherwell, especially losing Turnbull as well. But you know, Motherwell have still got good players, still got a good squad of players, in at Fir Park. And they need to start picking up points, Peter. You know, it's they're still bottom of the league, and you know, we spoke about Hearts last season. You know, they're too good to go down. They will eventually turn the corner, but sometimes these clubs don't. And Motherwell will be looking to try and get points, and I think they'll get one. I think I'll go by a 2-each draw.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a draw on it as well. But Charlie, the one thing that's the problem for Motherwell, whereas you know in previous seasons when they have been able to push for the top positions, you know, third or fourth position, they've always had somebody who can hit double figures in the goals. They can't buy a goal at the moment. They don't look like scoring.
No, obviously they beat Glentoran in the UEFA Cup, so the Europa League. Sorry, so it's we thought that might have given them a bit of confidence, but no, I actually think Motherwell will beat St Johnstone. I think it'll be a 1-0, and that'll be getting them off the off and running, and hopefully they can kick on because they've got good players. And you know, a manager that's done extremely well there for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, and what about Callum Davison? Just before you answer about Callum Davison, Roughie, you think it was a good idea maybe in a room where you've got a brand new pair of blinds that occasionally just change the way you're looking?
I was just going to say that if I could request to the people who are outside having a bevy, if one of them could come in and shut the blinds, I'd be very grateful because it's too far. It's too far for me to leave here and go and touch the blinds, and I could go off here. But I'd be grateful if they are still listening. But I think it's a worry if Motherwell don't win this one. See, if Motherwell don't win this one, there's a panic button about to be pressed. I don't understand why they haven't won any games. They've got quality players. I think it'll turn tomorrow. I like the manager. I like the way Motherwell play. So I'm going to go Motherwell 2-1.
Yeah, Alec Kelly says Motherwell are dreadful this year, guaranteed to be bottom 6 on the current form. Alec, I must admit, I can't argue with you on that. I tipped them to finish third. It's getting increasingly embarrassing. And I am a big fan of Stephen Robinson. I'll tell you one thing, Tam, and this is the amazing thing about it. I know Charlie obviously will, you know, next few years go into coaching, but boy, every game that I go to, I see Brian Rice there. And Callum Davison's out there as well. I mean, some managers are living and breathing it 24/7.
Yep, you've got to put the work in when you're a manager, and you might see something, you might see a player, you might see a flaw in somebody's system, it might be a set piece. You know, you've got to go and watch games and go and watch players. You know, you can't rely on your scouts all the time. The best thing for you is to go and see it with your own eye. And Brian Rice, and you're right, every time I watch a game live on the TV, even last season, if it panned to the crowd, Chipper was always in the crowd. He was always at the game, so maybe he's just getting away from his missus for a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon. But he was always at the games, Chipper. He's a very, very hard-working coach, and Callum Davison as well, young, hungry manager, wants to do well, so fair play to them. You've got to be out and about at the games to try and get a wee bit of an edge over your opposition.
Yeah, you have to at times. It can be, Charlie, all-consuming. Are you ready for that?
Go on then.
Are you ready for that? Well, you're the coach. You're out at games. You're non-stop.
Yeah, but the thing is about these, like Tam says, I think at different clubs, you see something much better than you're actually at a game than you do on the telly, or you're looking at Wise Scout and clubs. And St Mirren and Hamilton, they might not. St Johnstone and Hamilton, they might not have the infrastructure that your Rangers and Celtics have. So these managers go out and see it on the eye, they'll see it better and get a feel for it. I know, obviously speaking to Chipper by doing the licences with the SFA, that I remember when I was at Inverness, and he would drive down and watch like under 23 games. Him and Yogi would drive down to watch under 23 games on a Tuesday night, and then drive back up to Inverness on the Wednesday. And it was just finding their little gems, your Patrick Rice, what's his name, midfielder that used to play for Falkirk, and Stokes at Arsenal, and Patrick Craig, And unless you go and see these lads, it's only on recommendation. So to actually then go and see these lads live and see what they're about, it's you get the benefits of it. And it's one thing I know from Chipper is he does work hard and he puts his hours in.
Yeah, Matt Gunner on our YouTube channel says Motherwell to go down. That's a bold statement, Matt. I'm going to come back to you on that around about April. You might be right, but I'm sure there's a few Motherwell fans who'll disagree with you. I think they've got too much quality to go down, but then where have we heard that before? So that's our competition next week.
Your second club in the East.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. That's our Hearts competition for next week. Yeah, don't you worry about the flag waving. Yeah. Don't you worry.
In Budgie's pocket.
Cock will crow 3 times with you, boy. and Budgie's pocket. That's brilliant. And Matt says Motherwell are shocking this season. Hey, Matt, I cannot disagree with you on it at the moment. They need to turn things round. And John Stevens says, please, Charlie, can you give me a wee smile? Obviously, he's watching the programme, just wants a wee smile. There, yeah, that's it. Not too much, Charlie. We don't want to ruin the last 4 weeks that you've been on the show by too much smiling. Livingston against Hamilton.
There's not much smiling about at the moment, Pete.
No, you're absolutely right.
He's unemployed.
But
I'm unemployed. I'm waiting for a job.
When you worry, once you get into
he's doing his last mile.
No, once he buys a flat just across from Dens Park and he goes back to he'll know all about it. It'll be magnificent. And it'd be great to see you turning out in the blue of Dundee as well. Fantastic. Now, the other thing about it'd be great for the Dundee people, by the way, because I don't know about you, Roughie, but there's bound to be 140-yard diagonal that goes wrong. And the balls are 80 quid now, so there's going to be somebody out there who's going to get an absolute belter of a ball. He's going to hit one wrong one. I mean, he hits a lot of good ones. He's lobbed Courtois, but he's bound to hit one bad one, isn't he?
Well, they certainly, Dens Park's big enough, for Charlie to spraying the passes about. It's a wonderful big park.
It's the widest park I've ever played it.
It is. It's fantastic. I always loved playing.
That's one of the rules. That's what I've said. It's one of the parts of the contract is that they need to bring the pitch in a little bit.
Charlie, it's a huge park. It was horrible. Doing that slope, up that slope.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it'll be great to see you in a Dundee shirt, by the way. So Livingston against Hamilton. I think at the moment, I mean, I like Chipper. I like the way they're trying to play football. But I must admit, I'm going to take it in the neck here. God, I'm glad I'm not going to that game, by the way, because that would be a hard watch for me, Tam, at the moment. Every time I watch Livingston, I'm in agony. I actually think it'd be a better night out just scalping my toe with a hammer.
I think you're a bit unfair, to be honest, Peter. I think it'll be a better game than maybe you think. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think it'll be a couple of goals.
Oh.
So you'll get a couple of goals anyway. So I'm going to go for a 1-1.
2 goals.
For a 1-1 thriller.
Yeah, 2 goals.
Yep.
You reckon? Okay. I'll go Livingston 1-0. Deflection of a pigeon that was running by as a clearance tried to be made inside the 18-yard box. Charlie, what are you going for?
I'm going to think there are going to be plenty of goals in this. We'll go 2-2.
So positive now, Charlie, isn't he?
Absolutely. And look at Roughie straining his eye. Look at Roughie straining his eyes. He doesn't even know who's on the show. He can't see anything.
By the way, how good did the big man do last week? How did Lyndon Dykes? I thought he was excellent.
He was brilliant. He was a bright spot.
Very good point, Charlie. I was going to get your thoughts on that very shortly, but he absolutely was. Hang fire on that, because we haven't had a chance to speak to you on that on Wednesday's show. But yeah, Lyndon Dykes was a real positive. And Alec Jones says, I'd just like to say Charlie is the prettiest on the show. So let's hope Alex stands for Alexandra. And she's well happy with the way you look there. So Livingston against, you all right, Roughie? You okay?
What's about yourself now?
Yeah,
you only wind you up. It's me, Alec.
A compliment's a compliment, by the way.
Yeah, like Adam.
It's away. It's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Roughie, what are you going for?
I'm going for a Livingston win. I can't exactly remember what I texted to you, but whatever is in the text, I'm sure it was a Livingston win.
Okay, Andrew Townsley says, change my mind, guys, about Lyndon Dykes. He's no bad. It's a thankless task, Charlie. I can only say, for strikers who hope that suddenly there's support from midfield, you're constantly with your back to goal at times. Sometimes you get a flick on if you see a runner, but more often than not, you're trying to bring your teammates into the game, and I thought he did well.
I think especially as a midfielder, when you are going and you're playing up, the big man, he can hold it up. It's not bouncing off him, and defenders are taking it off him. He's getting his body in, and he's allowing players to get up the pitch. I thought he was excellent in 2 games that he played, and it was over the piece. I think he's earned himself the jersey next month. I think you've got to go with him, and hopefully he can stay fit and he can get a few goals for QPR starting tomorrow.
Yeah, and of course the other aspect of international duty is managers always get more than a little scared about what's going to happen to the players on international duty and when they come back. It's an age-old argument. It's been raging since time immemorial when football began in the 19th century. And of course then international football in the 20th century gained more and more prominence. Club managers get well hacked off. The latest of the managers is Ralph Hasenhüttl, who's not happy at the state that Stuart Armstrong returned to Southampton.
It's a quad injury, and I think, we know about his physically situation, that he sometimes needs a little bit more rest before a game because he sprints a lot and he takes a lot of runs, and then you must definitely be careful with him. I don't know what happens, but it's the second time that he was coming back injured from the international break. So,
he's not a happy man, Roughie.
No, but obviously these things can happen. They're not happening deliberately. You're glad that first of all you're glad that your player is playing well enough to get selected for international football. If he gets injured when he's away, so be it. You don't if he's going away carrying an injury and you play him, then you've got something to answer for because you should have been looking after the best interests of the player. But no, I think Stevie Clarke, if he gets 18 or 22 guys, it's his responsibility to get the best out of them. Unfortunately, it's the way it is. If you go back to the club and you carry injury, that's just the way of the world.
Yeah, Mark Lynch says, I'm sorry guys, I think Dykes is back. Yeah, but Mark, you're forgetting that bang average is quite a good level for Scotland at the moment. We haven't actually made it anywhere, Mark. So cut the boy some slack and let's see if he can get some goals. Because I don't know about you were complimentary there, Charlie, about Lyndon Dykes, but I thought the boy Liam Palmer actually grasped what it's all about as far as something that we're lacking at the moment, which is playing the ball quickly, getting it in, allowing a striker to get a march on the defenders, and that's how we got that goal.
I thought he would have played the first game, but obviously he done well away in the Czech Republic. It was a great delivery, and Dykes' great movement. Just get across the striker and obviously scores the goal. So no, it's he's a good player, Liam Palmer, and looking for an opportunity to get into the national team. But going back to the Stuart Armstrong, I believe when I went away with the national team, your routine should never change of what you would do at club level. I always think, I've went to camps and I've gone away and it was a waste of time training. We never trained, and then all of a sudden you're eating the same food you put on. You end up coming back a couple of kilos heavier and things like that. And it was not a waste of 10 days, but you think, well, you've come back unfit before you've come. So I always think that the coaches should plan it as that, they're your players for 10 days and you would plan it as you're still at club level, and that's how I've done it. And obviously Hasselhutten's obviously disappointed that somebody's got injured, but like Roughie said, that's part and parcel of the game, and it's the way it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi to John Divers has joined us. Good to have you on, John. John Lamont says, I listen every day, guys. Great show once again. Thank you for those complimentary words. It's very nice to hear from so many people enjoying the programme Monday to Friday. Like, share and follow. And of course, that's on our Facebook, which we're live weekdays, Monday to Friday. And on YouTube, if you want to, you can subscribe as well. And with YouTube, you can get it on your big telly. Even if you miss it live at 4, you can watch it at your leisure a little later on, which quite a lot of people do. We can tell the way the figures are coming in. Thank you to everyone for making the show absolutely fantastic. Are you all right, Tam? You sure? Are we interrupting you in some capacity there? I spotted
a 5 o'clock,
okay.
Tam.
I know you're contracted to 4:57. But nevertheless, one thing I am looking forward to, I'm a big fan of the English Premier League as well. Some people are not, but it's coming back. I know a few people are miffed, Roughie, that obviously on its first weekend, it'll get all the coverage and you can't watch any Scottish game live. But it's the bread and butter for Sky Sports on it. Here are the fixtures, Roughie. And I'm going to ask you guys if you can give me your 1, 2, 3, 4. I know it's going to be tough. And if you can think about who you think will be relegated. But there's what's on offer. Obviously, Manchester United and Manchester City will be given a little bit more of a break because of their European excursions. But nevertheless, there are some tasty games there to look forward to over the weekend. And I'm going to give you the 1, 2, 3, 4, Roughie, and it might help you along. But I'm going to go for Liverpool to win the Premier League. I'm going to go Chelsea second, Man City third, and Man United fourth, and I think West Ham, Fulham, and I have a sneaky feeling West Ham, Fulham, and Sheffield United are the 3 that I'm going to tip to.
Is that because they signed Ollie Burke?
No chance.
Well, this is the great thing about it. Look at Charlie; he's desperate to get in there.
Right, where's Charlie's?
I haven't got a beat. Charlie, give us your top 4 and your 3 to go down.
I'm going to go City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, and then I'm going to go relegation will be Fulham. Who else did I think there? I think West Ham will be okay, so I'm going to go Fulham, West Brom, and I think Palace might struggle this year.
Yeah, okay. Tam, what are you going for?
I think Man City will win the league. I think Chelsea will be second. I think Liverpool will be third, and Man United will be fourth. And the bottom 3, I agree with Charlie. The 3 clubs that Charlie just said, I think West Brom, Fulham, and Crystal Palace. Aye, that would be my 3 as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yep,
obviously, taking into consideration that the West Ham board continues not to back Davy Moyes in any great figures, and a few players have been sold, much to the manager's annoyance.
Yeah, but I think it's a wonderful stadium. It's a wonderful setup. I think they'll survive. I'm going to agree with Tam. I'm going to go Man City, Liverpool. Chelsea have made some impressive signings. Going to go Chelsea third, and I'm going to go Man United fourth. And I'm going to agree with the guys. I think the clubs with the less finances, are the ones that are going to suffer.
Team's going to know.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't remember anything else teams getting to know.
No,
I can't.
I agree with him. Fulham,
Yeah,
the Fulham and Crystal Palace, they're no spending, not spending anything like anybody else, so they're going to go.
Roughie's fingers in the pulse in there as well, so you've got to take that as gospel.
To be fair, the big man, 10 minutes from now, he'll not be able to pronounce Crystal Palace. Believe me.
Correct.
But nevertheless, I'm looking right now at the weekend, and Porter Gabriel and Anthony Atse just sets it up nicely if you are into the English Premier League.
With the Premier League returning this weekend, here are the top 5 things to look out for this season. 5. 2 of the new boys, West Brom and Fulham, only spent a couple of seasons out of the top flight, but Leeds United had to wait 16 years for their return. Now guided by the iconic manager Marcelo Bielsa, Leeds have been tipped to take the league by storm. 4. Leicester City are the only team outside the top 6 to have broken it in the last 5 years, having done it twice, as they ended up 5th last time round. Can they, along with big spending Everton and Wolves, break the traditional club's stranglehold? 3. Spurs and Jose Mourinho have a point to prove this campaign, and a resurgent Arsenal look much improved under Mikel Arteta. Manchester United finished the season strongly and will look to progress again, but will they all make the Champions League? 2. After a while in transfer wilderness, Chelsea have backed Frank Lampard and spent big this summer, with 6 players coming in for £200 million. Can Kai Havertz, Timo Werner and co lead the Blues to the title, or is it a year too early for these new faces? 1. Liverpool cruised to their first title in 30 years last time out. Pep Guardiola is never second for long. This intense rivalry will be renewed this campaign and promises to be as close as ever. But who will come out on top?
There you have it. That's your English Premier League for you to look forward to as well. And quite a lot of people, and I like this, a lot of people who are patriotic towards Scottish football and have no time for English football. I think if you're a football fan, I love watching all the leagues across the world. Of course, our bread and butter and the joy of our DNA is Scottish football, but I always like to keep my eye on things down south as well. And of course, lucky enough at one point, Roughie, to be in the tunnel. I think I was covering the European game down south at the time, and to see Charlie walk past me in his Liverpool strip going out to play in a European match as well. You know, it's always good when you've got that Scottish interest, Roughie. That's what keeps it going for me as well, when you see Scottish players down there strutting their stuff.
Yeah, Charlie's obviously looking for a Liverpool jersey.
He's looking for something.
It must
He's
be
looking for
mine.
something.
It must be some. It'll be a Charlie Adam one. It'll be a Charlie Adam one you're looking for.
Yep.
Have you got it already?
Well, the point is, all I would say to you is this. Rodgers was the manager. Charlie ran out. They played the game. They were comfortable winners. Charlie ran back in, took his top off. There you go, Pedro. Thank you and good night. You remember that, Charlie?
No.
Wish I hadn't mentioned it. Wish I hadn't mentioned it. I might want it right.
Who did we put? Was that Hearts?
No, it was. I think it was some kind of. It was a Europa League match. These were playing UEFA Cup match. It was a European match.
Something like that.
But I was down there covering the match. But anyway, Peter, can you at this moment see? Niall Kane says, can you see Ross Stewart of Ross County earning a future Scotland call-up due to his red hot? Who knows? I like Ross Stewart. He's one of those guys that I think before this window closes, Ross County might be under a wee bit of pressure to hold on to him. He's certainly a quality player. We've been very complimentary about him over the last couple of weeks. Listen, I'm really looking forward to this week coming up, because we're going to be giving away lots of prizes. If you like the T-shirt, there's a whole wad of legends. I've got them all stacked and ready. We've got lots of giveaways next week. And all you have to do in Glasgow and Edinburgh, it will go out to in Aberdeen as well. But we've got our posters up promoting the football show, and it's great legends. Tam, we've got Johan Cruyff, we've got Pirlo, we've got Zidane, we've got Maradona as well, and they're all out there. And Messi's on the posters as well. And if people get their photograph taken next to the poster and send it in to us, they've got a chance of winning some of the T-shirts and some great prizes as well, Tam. Well worth getting your photograph taken next to them.
Oh, absolutely. Get down there and get down to the posters and look out for them and get your wee Get your competition, get your T-shirt in. That'd be a brilliant wee stocking filler for Christmas as well. You can see you bought somebody as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. On Twitter at PLZ Soccer, post them there. If you're standing next to one of our posters, if you're on your Facebook, get onto our PLZ Soccer Facebook as well, and post your picture there with, of course, your favourite team or your favourite player, and we will get something out to you. The first 100 lucky people will be chosen, and we'll be sending something out to you. So there's T-shirts and more than a few things. Details coming on Monday for that. The posters are magnificent. Tam's going to be out there. Charlie looks as if he's ready to play the second round at Royal Lytham. And Roughie at the moment just smiling because he's licking his lips because he's
he
moments
is going to
away
get absolutely blittered.
He's there. And all I would say to Roughie, as my mother said to me, Roughie, everything in moderation. You've got to be with me on Sunday. Make sure the taxi picks you up and you're in fine shape, because we'll be taking your photograph on Sunday morning in Edinburgh at Potter Row. We'll be there first of all, and then we're moving on to North Bridge, Roughie. And the last thing I want to see is you leaning over North Bridge.
With Lenny's nose.
No.
Yes,
you know that won't be the
Lenny's
case.
nose. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the bookies are taking it. Tam, will you be there tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be there. Ready to go.
Fantastic. Can't wait. We're in Osborne Street. We're going to be taking photographs, making the old commercial. Looking forward to it. And as ever, you can join in with the fun as well and get yourself some good prizes next week on the show. Thanks to Charlie. Thanks to Roughie. Thanks to Tam McManus. Don't forget to like, share and follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. From everyone, have a great weekend. Enjoy your football.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.